Hello. Yeah. So today I'm walking. Yeah, the neighborhood is a little bit underrated. We do have a bit of criminality, but ah, I do like the green spaces here. It's just so nice. Really, it's really the benefit of living at the edge of the city. You can go anywhere, or at least you can go into the city or out of the city. Um, yeah, so today I want to talk a bit about uh, Baumeister. Like, he was apparently a psychologist, and he made this theory um, that willpower is like a muscle, but not really. Like, when you're running, you get tired after a while, yeah, right? That's fatigue, and if you have to do unpleasant things at some point, you just break and you start doing things you want to do, right? So, as those things that you might do in that situation might involve, you know, things that aren't that great for you, like eating at the McDonald's or playing video games or watching Netflix or all those things. Yeah, well, and yeah, there are two ways this can go. Two ways you can do something against it. One way is really the foolish way, namely, expose yourself to as much of this, do as many unnecessary, unpleasant things as as possible, and then you get used to them. And they did some research into this, and what they found was, it does work a little bit. Like, if you consistently brush your teeth with the wrong hand, which is kind of, a little bit of an annoying thing to do, to have to do each time, then you can become a little bit better at doing this the 100th time, but the improvement isn't that much. And according to the guy that wrote the article that I read on Hacker News, it wasn't worth it. I'm not sure about that, but I'm not a psychologist, so I'll just have to believe him, right? But yeah, my experience doing that isn't the best for me, and whether it's the best for you, well, you have to determine for yourself. But I wouldn't take the chance, to be honest. Like, wouldn't just. And it really seems to just a very unpleasant way to go about your life in general, like trying to do as many annoying things as possible. So the other way to try to do something about this is to to make it harder to tempt yourself to not live next to the McDonald's. Well, that's impossible. I'm sorry, there is a McDonald's. There are McDonald's and similar pretty much everywhere. But there are still some things you can do. Like, what I think is most important is not to waste your time, you know? Not waste your time on stuff like Netflix and, you know, the things people do when they come back from their work and they really don't feel like anything right now. Those things, it's mostly watching TV and playing video games. Although some people might just read a book instead and think themselves all higher up, but really it's the same thing. You're just like watching the clock tick away while doing essentially nothing. So yeah, I try to avoid those temptations, and in the modern age those temptations come in a tiny handy box, namely your computer, right? Or at least mine. So what do? I'm a computer programmer. My computer is pretty much almost with me, and unless I get a sudden infusion of magical charm, I will not be able to do anything else with my life. So when I thought of a solution, right, like the computer we need to use for work is typically you use it as the office only, and if it's not that way, if it's not if you're working from home, for example, and you're typically working from a very restricted setup that is typically monitored by your organization. So yeah, although of course everybody wastes some time during work, I don't really feel that using these outside for non-work reasons is very smart, and they cannot do a whole lot outside of internet browsing and maybe YouTube. So I need to keep that around, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, you know. And the rest of my computers, like my game computer, which I sometimes use with my friends when they're coming, or my Chromebook, which I use to sometimes order stuff over the internet. The rest of those, well, I keep them in boxes further away from my home. So the Chromebook I keep in a boxing facility at the other end of the neighborhood. Well, like it's maybe 10 minutes walk. So, you know, if I really need to do online shopping, I can do this still quite easily. But the gaming computer is in another city, and that way I think I might do a better job of managing temptation. Oh well. I'm now taking back my Chromebook to the storage, and hopefully I will not have to use it for some time. Alright. Have a good evening. Yeah, it's way too long already. Have a good evening, guys.